News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. There's your closing bell for this Tuesday on Wall Street. Traders opted not to make any big bets as the Fed's two-day meeting started today with Stephen Myron in attendance. He's been sworn in as the newest member of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors to fill a term that expires at the end of January. Also in attendance, Fed Governor Lisa Cook. She's been fighting President Trump's attempt to remove her from her post at the central bank. We do bring you those closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 lost 8 points. NASDAQ lost 15 points. The Dow is down 125 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.03%. The 2-year yield at 3.51%. The man accused of shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk faces the death penalty.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray says 22-year-old Tyler Robinson faces several charges, including aggravated murder and felony discharge of a firearm. Bloomberg's Miles Miller says police have text messages between the suspect and his roommate.
Were you the one who did it? I thought they caught the person, and he goes, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but then that side of town got locked down.
Robinson is expected in court for an arraignment this afternoon. We're learning more about the framework agreement between the U.S. and China on the future of TikTok. The deadline for TikTok to be divested was today. President Trump has now extended it to mid-December. The Wall Street Journal reports the arrangement would create a new U.S. entity to operate the app, controlled by an investor consortium, including Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. U.S. investors would hold an 80% stake. Chinese shareholders would own the rest. Sources tell the Wall Street Journal that existing users would have to shift to a whole new app, which TikTok has built and is testing. A judge in New York has dismissed the most serious charge against Luigi Mangione. He's the suspect in the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan last year. The judge dismissed one count of murder as an act of terrorism. A second-degree murder charge means Mangione no longer faces the possibility of life without parole if he's convicted. House Republicans unveiled a stopgap spending bill to keep the U.S. government open past an October 1st shutdown deadline, daring Democrats to vote against it, which does not contain any health care policies that they demanded. Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar says he's waiting to see what's in it.
They have chosen not to engage Democrats. We're ready to negotiate a bipartisan spending deal that protects Americans' health care. We will have conversations with our colleagues, and then we'll come to a decision what's best for the Democratic caucus.
The short-term legislation would keep agencies operating through November 21st and provide new funding for lawmaker, judicial, and administration official security after the Kirk shooting last week. It would need at least 7 Senate Democrats to support it to overcome procedural obstacles. King Charles III is hosting President Trump and the First Lady for a 3-day-long state visit. As he prepared to leave for London, the president says the military knocked off a third drug boat from Venezuela. Trump warned Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro to stop sending drugs and criminals from his country to the U.S.
Stop sending Tren de Aragua into the United States. Stop sending drugs into the United States. We knocked off actually 3 boats, not 2, but you saw 2.
U.S. campaign against drug cartels now spiking tensions with Venezuela. President Trump also says he spoke with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The call comes as the two nations resumed trade negotiations. Discussions both sides characterized as positive as they look to reset ties after President Trump's move to levy tariffs on exports from India. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is looking into issues with Tesla's door handles that could lead to people being trapped inside the vehicle. Bloomberg's Craig Trudell reports this follows a Bloomberg News investigation that found people were injured or even died when they couldn't open the doors to get out after the vehicles lost power, particularly after crashes.
Tesla, in its own, documents that it gives to first responders, to, fire departments, police, they acknowledge that their vehicles cannot be opened from the outside when their cars have lost power. And this is the subject of this investigation.
Bloomberg's Craig Trudell reports the investigation covers certain Model Ys from the 2021 model year. Tesla shares gained 2.8% in regular trading. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.